Good day to you one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Today I'm talking about why do bands break up? Why? It's not fair, is it? Oh, gonna just extract this. Yeah. Justin Hawkins Rides Again. And again. According to Digital Music News, they've cited nine different reasons why bands split up. The first one, and possibly the most obvious one, money, moolah, the filthy lucre, cashish, bread, dough. Those are all words for money, but I think I'm not sure whether that means the lack thereof. Yeah, so perhaps money is so tight, maybe because they get to a certain age and then they're not making enough money to be able to support their families because, you know, the music stuff isn't working out. That's one reason. Or maybe because there's a perceived imbalance in who gets what in terms of money. I think that might be one of the things that leads into the second point that they make: clashing personalities. In a creative venture, isn't there supposed to be fire and ice? And then, so usually it's like the guitarist and the lead vocalist, like Mick and Keith or Joe Perry and Steven Tyler. There are lots of other examples as well, I think. Oh, like the Eurythmics, Dave Stewart and Annie Lennox. And what about all the clashing personalities in Fleetwood Mac when they're all divorcing each other and making brilliant records? I think it can be a certain type of friction that's very creative, but it can also be completely destructive, and you just don't want to work with those people anymore. I think if you combine money, suspicion, and clashing personalities, it all adds up to the fourth point that they make, which is ego. All these things play into and exacerbate ego problems. The third one on this list is allocation of business duties. The modern rock stars and mid-level bands who are making it work are smart, responsible, hardworking, and business savvy, and they have their shit together, is what this thing says here, which I think is a reasonable point. But why does it make bands break up? Oh yeah, there are a couple of really high-profile examples of somebody who's in a band, but maybe not like the singer or the lead guitarist. Maybe they're the drummer, for example, and then they get to know enough about the music trade to realise that being a drummer is not as lucrative or as rewarding for them as being the band's manager, and step out and do that. I think that's what happened with Extreme. Yeah, the music band Extreme from Boston. I think one of the guys in that band was the drummer and is now the manager, and manages lots of other cool stuff as well. The trouble with allocation of business duties is like when you have a look behind the curtain at the machinations of the music trade, it can be quite disheartening to sort of recognise the way that those relationships work and the level of corruption and bullshittery that occurs. You know, we all know it's there, but to actually kind of roll your sleeves up and get stuck into it can be really... It's an eye-opener in the wrong way sometimes, and it makes you not want to be part of it. I would actually say that the television industry is probably worse. Just in the brief experiences that I've had, I'd say TV is way more evil than the music trade. But it's all much of the same thing, you know. It's exploiting creative folk for the purpose of commerce, and nearly everybody gets fucked. Well, everybody that plays music does, anyway. It can be. I think that's one of the things that can make people less inclined to put up with the hardships of trying to make it in a band. I think when they see how it actually works, it's like, no, fuck this. I'm going to go and work in a record company, or, you know, do something like that. So ego is the one. This is the one. When one of the band members' ego starts to make him believe that he is better than the others, is when the band's days become numbered. But maybe that's not. I mean, I'm not sure about how this is phrased. When one band member's ego starts to make him believe that he is better than the others. First of all, let's say they, because it could be not just guys that this affects. When a band member's ego makes him, it's not just, I mean, I think it's a really difficult balancing act to be like an effective rock star. I think you need to be able to call upon your ego to make an inflated version of your true self that's an exaggeration of your essence for people to hang their coats on and rock out to. Nobody wants to see, I don't think I want to see the boy next door, being all humble and stuff. I want to see someone firing a guitar solo directly into my willing face. That's what I want to see. So for a certain type of music, it's a difficult balancing act. You've really just got to allow the ego to run rampant in some areas, but not in others. Otherwise it makes relationships very, very difficult, and not least the ones with the people that you're collaborating with. So that's a really difficult area. I don't know how one is supposed to combat that, really. Maybe therapy. Just talk it out. Anyway, conflicting goals. I always think that there's always a contrast in ambition in bands. Like, so there's always one person in the band that's driving it harder than the rest because their ambition is greater. Their need for that particular kind of sort of validation is more important. Some people, the most important thing is to make an interesting record, and for some people the most important thing is to make a successful record. And some people just want to sound amazing. Some people want to do anthemic middle of the road stuff that anybody can sing, and some people want to make like really nuanced kind of curiosity records that are special to a smaller number of people. It's really there's a million different things that you can achieve with music, and the idea of finding a collaborator or a set of collaborators in your band that share your vision is really, really unlikely. Yeah, and sometimes you get like even within the sort of the core creative partnership of a band, you'll get one person that wants to make something that's very, very personal to them and is not concerned as to whether it connects with the wider audience that they've amassed during the earlier part of their career. And then the other guy the other person in that partnership is determined to have a number one album because they're going through a divorce, they've just invested in a racehorse that's fallen over and hurt its leg, and they need some money from somewhere. There's just it's hard to keep on top of those things. But the thing is, I think every band has a certain momentum, and there's lots of forks in the path, and it's really just about just following the thing that works. If you're ambitious, you can always, allow the rock to fall and jump off and leave the band, if that's what you want to do. So I think conflicting goals is one of the most important ones, really, because it really depends on why you're doing music in the first place, and that's a difference that's in your soul, and it can be really difficult to paper over those cracks. Musical differences, which is the sixth one on this list. I'm not even sure if that's a real thing. I don't know. I just don't know if there's a real thing. It can be like, okay, you can have situations where you make a record and then you're listening to the conversations that happen relating to which songs rather on the record will be chosen as singles, and then you can find yourself in a situation going, well, I don't agree with any of these things. I don't think it should be open to a focus group. I don't think anybody outside of the band should be telling us what singles to choose, and I don't agree with the rest of the people in the band, and I don't understand why this, for example, this one particular song isn't being shortlisted. It can create like a really, it's another one of those communication things, because it makes you wonder if you're collaborating with the right people, if they don't see it from the same point of view as you. It's not about somebody being right or somebody being wrong. It's just like, oh, wait a minute, we don't agree on this, and this is like fundamental to the way the album is going to be perceived. And as you can probably imagine, it's happened to me on lots of occasions. It's been a long time since I've agreed with the single choices that we've made as The Darkness, and that's not always The Darkness's fault. That's the worst thing, is when somebody outside of the organisation tells you what your singles should be. Fuck those people. I don't even know half of them. Like, sometimes it's somebody I've never even fucking met. How can they tell you what your single should be? They can fuck right off. just to get it on the fucking radio. Who cares? Get it on the YouTube. There's more people watching this than listen to that shite anyway. I'm only joking. Am I? Anyway, yeah, you know what I mean. I always feel pretty strongly about that because that can that can really drive a wedge between a band. Musical differences are not important. Actually, musical differences are one of the beautiful things about collaborating with people. If you didn't have musical differences, everything would sound exactly the same all the time. You'd all be on the same page and be dull as Hull. Not that Hull is in any way dull. It's a lovely town. Some really great coffee shops and the people are just awesome. I love it up there. But it's an expression. As dull as dishwater. Not that I've got anything against dishwater. It's an important... no, as long as you use it sparingly, that's it. Yeah, I think musical differences can be a beautiful thing, but when it's sort of... I think when it bleeds into the business area and you're seeing like how different your perspective is from your collaborator in decisions that really affect the perception of the record you've just made, that's when it gets difficult, I think. Number 7 on this list is fatigue. Yeah, it's pretty exhausting, really. If you can use the comments to name what advert that was, I've just taken that from. It's a British TV advert. Pretty exhausting, really. Well, if you can name that advert, I'll give you £1 on your PayPal. Yeah, fatigue. It's just, you know, there's a lot of travel involved, a lot of what I call bullshit. It can be challenging. Okay, this just in. I've just realised something. Today I took delivery of a letter. I didn't realise, but it's this wonderful painting by Elise of moi doing YouTubery. Pretty cool, eh? So that is going to go up here in front of the YouTube award itself. It's a lovely bit of canvas, actually. Look at that. I'm going to get that framed because it's rather nice. Thank you. Thank you, Elise. If you can guess the advert, then I'll give you £1. Also, Elise, thank you. I'm going to give you some money on your PayPal as well. Can you get the PayPal up, please? I'm just talking to my personal assistant. Can you get the PayPal up and then I'll... don't look at me like that. I'll do it myself. Fucking fine. Honestly. Ego. It's really gorgeous. I love it. Okay. What do I do with this now?
It's going to fall down.
It's going to keep falling, isn't it?
Put a little thing in front of it. Put a candle in front of it.
Well...
Look. Just to hold it up so it doesn't slip.
Okay.
Yeah. See?
Is that right? Yeah, that looks nice, doesn't it? Significant others? Yeah, I don't buy that one, really. Partners can be a pain in the arse, but you gotta love them though, ain't you? Yeah, they're lovely. Drugs? Well, you know, again, it's a balancing act. You've got to say that some amazing records have been made under the influence of drugs, but it always ends up tipping into an area where it's difficult to maintain your love for the music, your respect for yourself and the people around you, and it always ends in disaster, one way or another. So yeah, these are the reasons why bands break up. You can see it, can't you? You can see it. But what about the reasons why they stay together? I'll tell you. Because it's the best fucking job in the world, isn't it? Justin Hawkins rides again. And if anyone else likes it, it's a bonus. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and watch one of these 2 videos. All right, nice one.